What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This is your boy CJ Talk Sports, aka Mr. Christian Jones. Catch me live tonight at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be going live with Mr. Logan's Giant Zone on YouTube. If you want to catch me on tonight, please be welcome to join. Today, we are going to be recapping not just the draft, not just free agency. We're going to be recapping the entire Giants offseason and what letter grade will I give this organization, how do I feel about the team going forward, and just overall perspective on the New York Giants offseason. First of all, please be sure to like, subscribe, hit the comment section down below, and tell me, what was your favorite offseason surprise about the New York Giants? Was it something free agency, in the draft? Maybe it was a coaching hire? Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. First of all, we're going to get right into free agency. The New York Giants coming into free agency had a very limited budget as far as money they could spend. They did not have a whole lot of resources to spend on because the Giants had just not handled the cap all that well dating back to the last regime. Still sitting on, I think, Odell's dead money as well as Nate Solder's contract. Either way, the Giants did not have the Giants had a very limited budget in terms of free agency money. So how were the Giants able to manipulate the cap this year? Well, first of all, a couple of cuts that we all kind of knew. Kevin Zeitler was going to get the boot. Golden Tate was going to get the boot. OJ Mayo, couple of other roster spots got released, and so the Giants coming into free agency, they were able to save a couple of $1 million going to free agency, and really the number one all-season move, the number one thing that the Giants had to do this all-season was put in real weapons around Daniel Jones. This is year 3 of Daniel Jones' rookie contract. This is the make or break year. And while I do think it's a little hypothetical that people are claiming that this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones because most fans don't believe that the kid could play. Again, I believe in Daniel Jones, but even I have to admit, if we don't put any weapons around him, he's not going to succeed. Having said all that, the first thing that the Giants had to handle was the Leonard Williams issue. Okay, the Giants had 2 big free agents on their roster that was about to hit the open market: Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson. Leonard Williams, as we all know at this point, had a breakout 2020 season, leading the team with 11.5 sacks, finishing as one of the top interior pass rushers in the NFL, and he was going to command a lot of money on the open market. So what did the Giants do? They do as any smart organization would do. They franchise tagged him right before free agency started. Figure, hey, if we can't, best case scenario, we tag him, okay, we try to work out a long-term deal, or we keep him on the tag, we trade him, or he just plays another year under the franchise tag. But if the Giants were going to do some spending, they had to sign Leonard Williams to a long-term extension. And with that, because they franchise tagged him, unfortunately, it meant Dalvin Tomlinson was not coming back. He wound up signing a long-term extension. He wound up signing a big mega deal with the Minnesota Vikings to be their interior defensive lineman, and I expect Dalvin to do great things with Minnesota. He was a great player with us, very underrated. I'm gonna miss him, but hey, business is business, and if I had to keep one, I'd rather keep Leo, because you can find an interior defensive lineman anywhere, and unfortunately, because of the draft and free agency, there was no one on the open market that was going to replace what Leo did. Dalvin, on the other hand, you could find an interior defensive lineman pretty much anywhere. So, going into free agency, number one priority, how do we re-sign Leonard Williams? Well, the Giants did that with a massive deal of 3 years, $63 million contract, with 45 of it being fully guaranteed. To me, this was almost the first domino effect. As a matter of fact, let me go back to about a week or two later, right before free agency. As you all may know, Nate Solder, who had been our starting left tackle for the first few years, had severely underperformed. He was not good, at least the first 8 games when the Giants first brought him in. Played pretty well in the last 8 games. Second year, he was atrocious. Disaster. Was horrible. Many felt that he was going to be one of the guys that the Giants would cut going into free agency. We did not. We elected to restructure Nate Solder's contract to where we actually saved more money than by releasing him. So, by extending Nate Solder's contract but lowering his cap hit, we were able to keep Leonard Williams to that massive contract, and then the floodgates open. As soon as we signed Leonard Williams, yeah, we picked up John Ross, but you're starting to hear rumors going about that Kenny Golladay was on the Giants' radar. And I was like, what? Kenny Golladay? Like, isn't he going to be too expensive? Nope. Now that we've signed Leonard Williams to an extension, we actually have the money to now go sign a Kenny Golladay. And he was my number one free agent wide receiver from day one. Figure, hey, if we're gonna lose Leonard, if we're gonna lose Dalvin, we better get a superstar wide receiver, or at least a star edge rusher. And again, considering this is year 3 in Daniel Jones' development, and the fact that this is the make or break year for him, you have to get him a number 1 receiver. If for no other reason, look at the trajectory of all these young quarterbacks. At one point, do they take off when you give them a number 1 receiver? I compared the situation to Dak Prescott. Both Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones both popped in their rookie years when no one was expecting to. Then in year 2, once the spotlight was on them, they struggled. They had their sophomore slumps. And then in year 3 of Dak's career, he started playing atrociously. And I kept telling everyone, even Cowboy fans, like, he needs a number 1 receiver. Dez Bryant is shot. He's physically out of it. Okay. And then at the trading deadline, the Dallas Cowboys land Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, a really good, talented receiver out of Oakland. And Dak took off. Okay, he got his number 1 receiver, he got his deep threat, he got someone that could play both in the slot and on the outside, and Dak Prescott took off. I expect that same kind of trajectory for Daniel Jones. And so landing someone like Kenny Golladay was a must-have. But, again, he's a star receiver, he's going to have his suitors. I'd be surprised if he didn't. But then rumor came about that he was going to be coming to East Rutherford, that he was going to be spending the night over at Giants facilities, seeing if he's a good match with this team and with his coaching staff. And so I was pleading to the Giants, do not let him leave the building. Okay, do not let Kenny Golladay leave the building. Okay, you have got, by the time he leaves, he has got to have a signed contract with the New York Giants. Okay, I'm not for breaking the bank for him, but this is a guy that can not only grow with Daniel Jones, he is going to hit his ceiling presumptively at the exact same time as Daniel Jones is. You have to find out, is Daniel Jones your guy moving forward? You have to find out if is Daniel Jones your franchise quarterback moving forward. And in order to do that, you have to put weapons around him. Okay? Golden Tate is about as old as my grandfather. And is about half as fast as I used to be. Darius Slayton, I love him. But he's more of a number 2. He's not a number 1. You need a bona fide number 1 receiver, and you either got to do it in the draft or free agency. Not gonna lie, at first I would have preferred doing that through the draft, but seeing how things fell, I'm glad what the Giants did. And getting a guy like Kenny Golladay, he is the Plaxico to Daniel Jones' Eli. You know, he's the guy that's going to demand double coverage, that is going to demand number 1 corners, and what that is going to do is that's going to take less pressure on Darius Slayton. It's going to take pressure off of Sterling Shepard. It's going to take pressure off of the offensive line as well, because now that you have a number 1 receiver, teams are not going to be so blitz happy against a young and developing offensive line. So what that means, the Giants are going to be facing more cover 2, cover 3, and that makes the offensive line's job a lot easier. So Kenny Golladay is going to make Daniel Jones better. He's going to make the other receivers better. He's even going to make the offensive line better, and more importantly, he's going to make Saquon Barkley better. Because not only is Saquon going to be back healthy this year, he's not going to be having to face 8, 9 men, 10 guys in the box. And that, again, is going to make the offensive line's job more easier, creating holes for Saquon, who, again, should be back fully healthy. So, Kenny Golladay, at least for me, was the biggest offseason move, is because he is going to make everyone on this team better. The second biggest move that I felt from the New York Giants this offseason was right after the Kenny Golladay signing, starting hearing little whispers about Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson, much like many others, was one of the main casualties of the cap going down. So you were going to see these star level players get released out of their contracts. And Adoree Jackson was one of the last players that I thought that would get released. And so, after we signed Kenny Golladay to what I believe was a 4-year extension. I don't have all the numbers off the top of my head, but I know it was a 4-year. But I know it was a 4-year deal, making max dollar. But by the time we look at this contract next year, assuming he balls out, it's going to look like a bargain. And again, his contract lines up perfectly with the way the rest of Daniel Jones' rookie contract looks like. So really, the Giants could unload Kenny Golladay at 3 years, assuming the Giants want to move off of Daniel Jones. But another big need for this team coming to the offseason was that CB2 spot. The Giants, as we all may know, totally overachieved defensively. I mean, I did not think this team had to make itself a top 10 defense, especially without a pure edge rusher. And so, James Bradbury was a home run. Blake Martinez, a home run. But the biggest weakness on this team, defensively, was the CB2 spot. The second corner spot. We have a really good number 1 in James Bradbury. We have a really good slot corner in Darnay Holmes. The safeties, Brill, McKinney, Logan Ryan, flat out monsters. But the cornerback 2 spot was a huge liability for us for most of the year. Isaac Yiadom was decent. He was okay. freaking Logan Ryan. No, Ryan Lewis. Oof. My oh my. He was not good. Wasn't garbage, but he was not good. And then we finished the year with Logan Ryan, who was decent, pretty good actually. And so the Giants, having one of our captains in Logan Ryan, literally going out and recruiting players along with Jabril, was a godsend. Especially considering Logan Ryan had Adoree Jackson under his wing while he was in Tennessee. So, for Logan Ryan to go out of town and meet up with Adoree Jackson, I already knew right then and there he's going to be a Giant. He's going to be a Giant. And the thing that makes me smile even more is that he was supposed to have a meeting with the Philadelphia Eagles just a day later. Didn't even take a meeting. Didn't even bother visiting. I'm like, dude, why do you need to go to Philadelphia? Okay, we want you here. We're gonna pay you right here and now. Okay, we have one of your boys as one of our captains. Like, obviously we could pay you more than Philadelphia. You really want to go to that joke of an organization? It was like, dude, like, come on, man. Logan Ryan, God bless you, man. Jabril, my own boy, keep balling out for the Giants, man. We're gonna pay you what you're worth. And so, Logan Ryan, godsend. Adding Adoree Jackson to lock up that cornerback 2 spot, unbelievable. On paper, this team already has the makeup to be in a top 5 defense when we were top 10 last year. Okay, and I know I'm going into spoiler territory, but we added our 2 biggest needs on the defensive side of the ball. We added a pass rusher, and we got back, and we got a CB2, a real CB2. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised. In the 3rd round, the Giants added another corner, particularly another slot guy, to compete with Darnay Holmes. But hey, there's 2 things in this league that you can never run out of: corners and pass rushers. Okay. Yes, I know we need an offensive lineman, but I truly believe that Joe Judge and his coaching staff feel like, hey, these guys are going to have another year under the system. Okay, we got them better weapons, so teams are not going to be as blitz happy. And we feel like with more consistent coaching and a full off season, that this offensive line could at least be competent. I mean, do I expect this offensive line to be elite by any means? No, because the talent just isn't there. But if you have the pieces and the continuity to at least be a stable offensive line, that's all we're asking for. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking to be elite. Okay? And I truly believe that with better weapons and a full off season, that this offensive line is going to be looking a lot better by the time we hit our stretch mark. So, I'm still concerned. I'm still worried about the Giants' offensive line, but I'm willing to give the Giants the benefit of the doubt, and I'm willing to give this coaching staff I'm willing to give this offensive line a real shot at being good. Now, I want to talk about this guy, Daniel Jones, because at the end of the day, it really all comes down to him. I said in a video a couple of weeks ago that, I understand that, this being a make or break year for Daniel Jones. And it is. I'm not defending that aspect of it. It is a make or break year for Daniel Jones. But the thing that irks me so much is that people just have this assumption that, it doesn't matter if you give Daniel Jones weapons. It doesn't matter if you give him brand new toys. He's still your quarterback. He's still going to be garbage. The Giants are going to be in the market for another quarterback come next year. And, me being a Daniel Jones fan and a Daniel Jones supporter, I get that I may come up as a little bit biased. But the Giants have not put Daniel Jones in the right opportunity to shine. I mentioned Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was not this, year 2 or even year 3. Okay, he popped as a rookie. Okay. Year 2, he struggled. Okay, once teams had a playbook on Dak and his Cowboys offense, they knew how to shut it down. Same thing with Daniel Jones. And may I remind you, Daniel Jones came in this league with a battle line. Okay, Saquon Barkley being in and out. No number 1 receiver. A bad coach. And this past year, he had no Saquon Barkley. No number 1 receiver. No offseason. No preseason. No training camp. No nothing. And you expect him to take that next leap. It wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen last year. So I don't understand the hypocrisy around Daniel Jones. If he wins, they're going to say, oh, it's because of the weapons. But you didn't say that. Okay, you weren't making these claims when you said that, oh, Daniel Jones is terrible. Well, you cannot have it both ways, okay? Let's give Daniel Jones a real opportunity to show what he is, okay? Like I said, Dak was not this when he was in year 2, okay? He showed promise. He showed a lot of potential. And in no way am I saying Daniel Jones is as good as Dak Prescott. I don't. But do I think he has the potential to be well past Dak Prescott? Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, let's give Daniel Jones a real shot at being not even top 10, top 12-ish quarterback. Top 12. And again, if he's bad, the Giants have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft. Okay, everyone I keep hearing that, oh, it's a bad quarterback draft. We hear that pretty much every other year, every time a good quarterback draft is out. We don't know who's going to be coming out next year, who's going to pop. Okay, if I would have told you after the Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones draft that Joe Burrow was going to be the number 1 pick, no one would have believed me. If I would have told you after the Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield draft that Kyler Murray was going to be the number 1 overall pick, you wouldn't have believed me. So, I'm looking at this team from a grand scheme of things. I said at the end of the season, the Giants have as good as a season. The Giants all season this year is as good as it was last year. I don't see any reason why this team can't be a playoff team. We should win about 9 or 10 games, especially based off the schedule, the opponents we're going to have. I don't see any reason why this team can't win about 9 or 10 games, make the playoffs, and Daniel Jones has a breakout year. And we're 1 or 2 pieces away to competing for a Super Bowl. So, that's going to be the end of my New York Giants off-season. Overall, I give it an A+. I think the Giants actually have one of the better overall off-seasons in terms of, adding more talent, improving this team based on what it was last year. The coaching staff is back, and I think it's elite. Okay, the offensive weapons, I think, are legit. The defense speaks for itself. And Joe Judge, I've been a fan of his since his first press conference. Okay, I love the coaching staff. I love his integrity, his attitude, just that fiery energy that he has. I said it right when I first started researching him. He reminds me of a young Tom Coughlin. He's a mixture of a fine line between being a player's coach, but also putting a whooping on you. He is a no-nonsense head coach, but he fights for his players. Okay, he'll go to bat for his players, and as soon as I saw him take that slip and slide on the football during training camp, I was like, yep, they're going to buy in. Right then and there, I'm like, I'm in. As soon as I saw him in that ridiculous Ole Miss get up after losing the bet to New England, I'm like, yep, that's a coach that's going to be around for a long time. And I truly believe, again, this is the year we finally find out what we have in Daniel Jones. Bright young coach, check. Number 1 receiver, check. Year 2 in the system, check. Continuity on the offensive line, check. And off-season, check. Saquon Barkley, check. This is the year we're going to find out what Daniel Jones really is. And I'm excited to find out. This is your boy CJ Talk Sports. Again, I'm going to be going live with Logan's Giant Zone in about 5 minutes. You can catch me up there. I'm going to be uploading a video on this team right here. Yeah, New York Knicks. We're back, baby. I'm going to be making a video on that pretty soon. This is your boy CJ Talk Sports, and I'm out of here. Peace.